Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scourge of War Waterloo Episode 9. This will be the final episode of the Redone Brigade series, which will bring the entire Brigade series into line with everything I talked about in Episode 1. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the final Brigade scenario, La Garde recule, or the Garde retreats. This is sort of the final defeat of Napoleon and the first time ever in history that the French Imperial Guard were defeated in battle. It's not a terribly difficult scenario. It's just kind of a fun scenario. It's a little different than kind of the other scenarios in the game. There's a lot more movement, and we're not just kind of standing somewhere, kind of holding a position or attacking a position and then just holding on to it. There's kind of a lot of marching around the field. So let's get started with it here. I'm going to start the video. And it says, the French forces have attacked our lines ferociously, but the tenacity of our brave soldiers has driven back even the bravest of the Imperial Guard. As the enemy begins to break, we must pursue them, destroy Napoleon's army, and put an end to his reign of terror. So these are our two units here. We control Maitland, and if you remember the 1970 movie Waterloo, you will remember, now Maitland, now's your time. And that's kind of what this scene is. We need 1,000 points for a major victory. Coincidentally, there is a waypoint objective near the end of the game that is worth 1,000 points. So all you have to do is get to it, and there's your major victory right there. So not a hard scenario by any means. The beginning of the scenario is pretty much just very scripted. All you have to really do is do what your orders tell you to do, and you're going to get kind of the result you're supposed to get at the beginning of the scenario. And after that is kind of when the, real part of the scenario begins. So let's get her rolling here. Planting shrubbery, a lot of shrubbery. Alrighty, so here we are. Here is Maitland, our brigade commander, and it says, the enemy lines are starting to waver. Should they break, we must pursue and destroy them. 2 battalions are approaching your position now. Rise and deliver a volley. Up guards and at them. And that is from the Duke of Wellington. So pretty much all we have to do here is exactly what these orders say. Rise and put our units on volley fire. And we have 2 huge British Guard units here. Each unit is about 1,000 men. And they are high-quality troops here. They are both level 7 veteran. However, these troops approaching us are, the Imperial Guard, who are either the same or even higher troop quality. But like I said, this part of the scenario is pretty much scripted. As long as you do what your orders tell you to do, you're going to get the result you're supposed to get here. And I have it kind of set at ground view here because this is just fun to watch, as these 2 British Guard units here open up and deliver a huge volley. And there it is. Kaboom! And 39 casualties right from the first shot there. And you see the points are just racking up here as these British Guard units pour a huge amount of fire into these French Imperial Guard units, kind of before they even get a chance to get a shot off. And we also have an artillery battery kind of right to our left who is going to plaster them with canister, and they're not going to stand there for long. As you can see, some of them are already starting to back up. This is kind of the last desperate hope for Napoleon here. Doesn't it look like these units to the left here are kind of walking in the air? Like they're above the ground. And that's probably just due to the way I have the camera. And you can see the artillery is starting to loose its canister into them. And at this point, we can bring the camera up and kind of start the pursuit here. So yeah, that part of the scenario at the very beginning there is pretty much you know, sort of scripted to just kind of go down like that. So long as you, you know, follow your orders and just, you know, rise up and put your troops on volley fire, that result is pretty much guaranteed. And like I said, that's pretty much, you know, kind of recreating that famous scene from the movie, you know, where the Imperial Guard kind of crests the hill there, and you know, Wellington screams out, "Now, Maitland, now's your time," and his units all rise up and start delivering what almost looks like, you know, semi-automatic fire, like they were armed with M1 Garands instead of, you know, brown vests. But that's 1970s movies for you. So here we have a small French Guard unit in square, and we are just going to put all our fire to them here, as well as some canister fire. And, you know, brave as they are, you know, that's just a lot of lead being slung at you. You know, kind of tough to stand there and take that. So as you can see, other than these brave fools right here, most of the French army is in full retreat at this point. The artillery is pulling back. Only these brave guys in the Imperial Guard, formed in square back here, are holding their ground. And let me tell you, these are some of the most crack troops you will ever see, these units right here. And you'll see what I mean when we get to them. I mean, they're the best. They're the best. That's all I can say about it. So, the retreat has begun. You can see some of our allies, our Dutch-Belgian allies, are advancing after the repulse here. And some of them are down here, moving past Haye Sainte, which had fallen to the French, but will soon be retaken by the Allies. And we took a few casualties kind of moving close to them, but it's going to be well worth it, because when these boys open up on this small little group right here, it's going to be nasty. You know, there's no substitute for having a battalion that's 1,000 men strong, you know what I mean? And like I said, not going to stand there for long when, you know, you have 1,000 men in line firing at you. You know, even the Imperial Guard must have some common sense. All right, so most of these units are now in retreat, and I believe it is time to get the pursuit going. All right, now just to keep our units, which are rather huge units, in something of a manageable formation, we're going to have them move in column by division as opposed to line. Oh, but first, look. This square maybe thought about stopping and fighting again, but nope, they thought better of it as soon as some Dutch-Belgian skirmishers opened up on them. So here we go. The advance begins. And like I said, these units are so huge that rather than having them move in line formation and cover just a lot of ground, we're going to move them in column by division so that, you know, their size is a little more manageable until we actually want to engage them in combat. And another reason is there's sort of artillery here and there's artillery here. So we don't want our men, as we're moving closer, to get hit by canister fire. So we kind of want to stay in this narrow corridor, kind of between these two artillery batteries, and see if we can't sneak our way by them. You can see this is a massive Allied force here, and this is a result of Wellington basically abandoning his whole position on the left and concentrating here at the center around Haye Sainte, because his allies, the Prussians, had arrived from Wavre and basically taken up his position on the left, and they were now occupying his left. So he could afford to pull all his troops away from the left and concentrate them here. and he did so very skillfully. He hid them all behind the ridge so that Napoleon really had no idea what was behind that ridge when he sent his guard forward. And in fact, he thought Wellington was in much worse shape than he really was, because he was able to siphon all those troops over from the left and basically concentrate them all in the center of his line to resist the last kind of desperate assault by the French here. True master of the defense, Wellington. He called Waterloo the nearest run thing he ever saw, but only Wellington could have defeated Napoleon, I think. I mean, it took that level of kind of tactical genius that Wellington had. So yeah, these are the two. There's an artillery battery here, and there's an artillery battery kind of here. And what we want is our allies to take care of them. We want, their skirmishers that they're sending forward and their units that they're sending forward towards that artillery. And, we kind of want them to sort of be the brave ones and, march up to that artillery and kind of attempt to start shooting at them. That's rough because, canister fire's a bitch, So I'm taking the coward's way out here, and I'm kind of advancing down the center and being very careful not to come in range of kind of this battery and the other battery that's going to set up on the left here. Instead, we're going to go for the squares, the old guard covering the retreat. Now, the most important rule I'm going to cover here when engaging the French Imperial Guard is to basically remember one thing. You don't ever, under any circumstances, charge the Imperial Guard. You shoot them all to death. Never, ever try to charge them. I don't care if they're in square formation, if they're in a cheerleader pyramid formation. You do not charge the French Imperial Guard. They will kill you. They will absolutely destroy you, no matter how fresh you are, no matter how high your troop quality. There are no troops in the game equal to the French Imperial Guard. And believe me, I found that out the hard way. The first time I played this scenario, obviously I thought, well, they're in square and I can just form up an assault column and just barrel through them. That didn't work out so well. My entire, both my battalions tried that and basically got killed to a man. Absolutely destroyed. So you do not ever, under any circumstances, charge the French Imperial Guard. Instead, we're going to form line and use our rather excessive firepower, and we're going to have to shoot them all to death. And I'm going to be honest with you, that takes a long time. The troop quality of the French Imperial Guard is so high that they will lose 70% of their square before they break and run. You really have to shoot them all to death to get them to break. They're that good. And this is, you see the canister fire blowing this unit apart here, and look at the score just down, just depleting as they get hit by this canister. And that's why I didn't want to have to be the one to do this. I wanted our allies to take care of this artillery and get them out of there so that I didn't have to be the one to deal with them. Because I'm no fan of standing in front of artillery, taking canister fire. But as I've said before, or maybe I haven't, but artillery will not stand for long once you start actually shooting small arms at them. So you can see there's some guns already moving off. So yeah, even if you're going to take some serious hits, if you can actually get a skirmisher unit or something in front of a battery and start shooting at them, there is a good chance you'll be able to make them retreat. Because artillery, once they start taking small arms fire, it tends to fall back very quickly. Alright, so we're going to send one of our battalions forward. Now, I'm not sending both units forward because it would cover too wide a front and we would put ourselves in range of this artillery. And again, I'm being very careful not to do that. So we're going to move forward and engage these these French Imperial Guardsmen here who are also moving towards us. And as I said, we're going to use good old-fashioned firepower to break these guys, because if we charge them, even though it's a much smaller unit, even though they're a cavalry defense formation, they're not really they're not really in an infantry melee formation. No matter what, if we charge them, they'll kill us to the man. I mean, they're that good. You do not fight the French Imperial Guard hand to hand. And if you want to see, by all means, try it and see, and you will be like, whew, okay, let's not do that again, because it's just bad. So no, instead we're going to bring superior firepower to bear here. As you can see, it's taking us a long time just to actually deploy our line. Our units are so big, and I'm running this on the default sprite ratio, which is 1:6. So every one of these men, or every one of these sprites, actually represents 6 men. So I want you to just take a minute and imagine what this line would look like if I ran this at 1-to-1. So, okay, we are now opening fire on the Imperial Guard. And we also have another unit here that's opening fire on them. They are sort of blocking some of our line of sight, but whether it's us or them, we're still bringing a lot of firepower to bear on them. And this is what I'm talking about. Look at this stupid Dutch unit that actually went and charged an Imperial Guard unit. The animation looks a little weird, but, needless to say, they lost, as we would have had we done something as stupid as that. Do not ever charge the French Imperial Guard. And this is going to take a while. As I said, we're going to advance our lines a little bit to try and get closer and make our firepower more devastating. But, this is still going to take a while. We have got to shoot these squares, up. You'll see, by the time they finally break and run, this whole side of their square will be gone, However, the rest of these squares are starting to fall back. But all that means is we're going to have to move forward and take them on again. So I'm using, as you can see, my line is moving forward. This kind of arrow right here shows what their intended destination is. And I'm using the, right here is the advance while engaged button, which basically means they keep firing, but they're slowly moving forward. Kind of the opposite of the fall back while engaged button that you've seen me use many times with skirmishers. In this instance, we're advancing while engaged. And what this does is, as we move forward, our firepower becomes, kind of more and more effective. And you can see lots of French bodies dropping here, but, Okay, the enemy is making a stand at a small inn known as La Belle Alliance. Continue your pursuit and drive them from the field. Other First Corps forces will be in support. Okay, now La Belle Alliance is right here, and here, as you can see, is an objective that has just appeared. And that objective is a waypoint objective. You have to hold it for 1 minute, I believe, and it's worth 1,000 points. So, as I've said, you're never going to get to that with just casualties alone. Although I think we do get pretty high. We get close, probably around 600 to 700 points. So that objective there just kind of solidifies the deal there that you've run. However, it's a long way off. We have to march all the way there and then hold it for a minute to actually get those points. And before we do that, we have got to break these squares. As you can see, there's another one coming up. And as I said, this takes a while because the troop quality is so ridiculous on the Imperial Guard that they will almost get killed to a man, before they break and run. You can see we've shot up kind of this whole side of the square at this point, and they're still standing there. And then there's another square behind them. see we have some more troops kind of advancing to support us. And really the only reason I'm only using one of my units here is it's just there isn't enough room for me to squeeze in another 1,000-man unit without coming in range of this artillery battery or the artillery battery on the left side. You know, just kind of, this is kind of all the room available to me, and that's kind of the only reason I'm using this one battalion to get the job done here. You know, and they're doing fine. You know, they've inflicted 330 Look at this. Look at the square. I've shot out the entire side of it. And, okay, now they're finally retreating after they have left all these men on the ground. You know, that's, you know, it took a real long time to get that to get that unit to break. And you'll see in the next episode, episode 10, where I play, which is the first divisional scenario, where I play no prisoners, the French Imperial Guard assault on Ligny, which was kind of the coup de grace of the Battle of Ligny, where you actually play the Imperial Guard. And you will see me play very recklessly and really kind of make use of this troop quality and the fact that the you know, the French Imperial Guard are so devastating in hand-to-hand combat that, and because their troop quality is so high, you can get way more charges per unit out of the French Imperial Guard than you can almost any other unit in the game. As I've said, after, you know, 2, 3, 4 charges of regular units, that's pretty much it for them. You know, after that, their fatigue and their morale kind of fall to the point where they no longer can make effective charges. Not the Imperial Guard. You can get nearly twice as many charges out of an Imperial Guard unit than you can any other unit in the game, just because their troop quality is so high that, you know, they'll keep doing it. So here we go, yet another square that we have to shoot up. Now we're actually going to get some help from another line unit that's going to move in from the left here after this artillery battery falls back. And we're actually going to shoot 2 sides of the square up. So this one goes a tiny bit quicker than the first one because we're able to bring fire from 2 sides, but they're still very brave soldiers, the Imperial Guard, and they do stand there for quite a while before they break. And at this point now, we have some Imperial Guard skirmisher units that are holding the right here. So we'll start to take a few more casualties now because we have skirmishers shooting at us, and, you know, as I've said, they tend to inflict more casualties than they take. So we're going to take a few more casualties than we have been. But we have so many men, it's like we really can afford to because we're really trying to put a lot of fire into these squares. So as you can see, the artillery is backing off here. A lot of British units are moving in on our right here, and they will start to fire on this square kind of from this side and start shooting at this side of the square right here while we're shooting at this side of the square right here. And this unit will basically lose half its force before they decide to break and run. Look, and this unit is also huge, you know. It looks almost as big as our unit. You know, just a gigantic line unit here. And once they kind of orient themselves and kind of face the Imperial Guard here, you'll see they'll start dropping this line, this part of the square, really fast. And I am glad that they are smart enough to do that and not try and charge them, because even shot out like this, guaranteed the French Imperial Guard would still win a bayonet charge. Alright, so they have finally oriented themselves to face the square. We have some skirmishers, and they are a little close. You guys might want to back off. There you go. Just pull back. You guys are way too close. You got a big line unit right here. Let them do their thing. And we have some Dutch-Belgian troops falling back again. And even though we have some units on the right here, I'm not really that concerned with them. I mean, I'm sorry, on our left, their right. Really, I want to get this square out of the way. If I can get this square out of the way, there's virtually nothing back here past them, and I can just kind of slip around this whole engagement that's going on here and kind of make a beeline for the objective. So, you know, my focus is solely on this square. There's nothing behind them. Where the way open to La Belle Alliance is pretty clear if we can get rid of them, and I'll let my my allies deal with these guys. And you know, it's okay that this takes a long time. I think this is a 50-minute scenario or 55 minutes. It's a long scenario, so you have plenty of time to stand here and, you know, just shoot this square to pieces before making your way to La Belle Alliance. And like I said, I learned the hard way not to try and be overly aggressive and try and charge these squares here. So standing here and shooting is the best way to do it. And as you can see, you know, they're falling. This side of the square is getting shot to pieces now. We got another unit moving in. Don't do anything stupid, guys. Don't charge them. Just form line and add to the fire. Yeah, there you go. No such thing as too many bullets. Now, who are these guys shooting at? I wonder. Can't be shooting at the square. You're shooting for your own men. As you can see, this whole side of the square is just falling apart. It's not even really a square anymore, and they're starting to fall back. At this point, I mean, half their number are dead. I've heard of above and beyond the Call of Duty, but this is truly above and beyond the Call of Duty. I mean, look at this. There's a third of their battalion left. You know, you can almost see the square formation on the ground here. You know, they bought time for Napoleon and the rest of the army to escape with their lives. Time to hit the road, fellas. You have more than done your duty for France at this point. Okay, now begins the advance. So I'm taking all my units off take command so I can control their movement just with the leader by selecting a formation, and then once I actually set their destination and their formation, I will put them back on take charge. And the reason is we're moving through an area where we might get fired upon, you know, by some skirmishers and stuff, and if I left them under AI control, the AI would halt them and make them engage, and I actually don't want that. I'm willing to take a few casualties just as I walk by. So I put them back on take charge, so they have no AI, and they will just follow kind of my last order, which was to move to that position. And if they lose a few men in the process, you know, so be it. I'm not concerned with that. You know, more important at this point now is, you know, actually making it to the objective and getting that 1,000 points to put us over the 1,000 points we need for a major victory. We've got about 700 points as it is, just from the casualties we've inflicted. But we're going to need that. That's pretty much all we're going to get. We're going to need that objective to actually put us over the top. So as you can also see, it's now, I guess, 8:15, and you'll notice the sky is starting to darken. It is not as bright as it was at the beginning of the scenario, and You'll see by the time we get to the end of the scenario, it is pitch black. It is complete and total darkness. You know, as the final shots of the battle are fired and Napoleon's fate is sealed, so to speak. I'm just keeping my eyes on my men here as we kind of sidestep them behind this engagement here. We have some of our units kind of covering the front. And we have taken a few casualties as we've walked by, but it's nothing serious, and you know, I don't want to be involved in any more fighting at this point. I just want to get to the objective. The way open is clear, and you know, accomplish our mission here. So there are a couple of guns set up in front of us, but as we move closer, they'll pretty much just run away. They're not interested in putting up a fight anymore at this point. You know, you have to remember that this is the scenario is only a small part of the greater whole. At this point, you know, the Prussians have kind of broken through the French defense of Plancenoit. They're sweeping in from the east, and the French army is kind of giving way throughout the whole kind of front of the battle here. So as I said, I'm going to leave the rest of this small skirmish with what is left of the remnants of the Imperial Guard here to my allies. You know, we are only in control of these two big Guard battalions here. That's all we got to worry about. And here they come. And we'll start moving them forward after this, and these batteries will run away, and we will make our way to the objective and secure our final victory. As you can see, a lot of Allied troops are moving in to finish this last patch of French resistance off. And you can see the artillery is packing up, getting ready to hit the road. Heading back to Paris. And we're just going to move forward and kind of let them know we're coming, kind of right at them, and they will hit the road. See our rest of our units kind of it's the shadow of our units on the ridge there. Starting to get pretty dark out. Well, they're kind of closing the vise, moving further and further forward, and getting ready to seal the deal on these French here. And our buddies in the artillery here are packing up. They're getting out of here. And we will head from here. We will head to our final objective here. Not too much more excitement in this scenario. It's pretty much all marching at this point. We're just, kind of heading to our objective here to get a quick 1,000 points and put us over the top. But the exciting part is over here at this point. So yeah, not that difficult a scenario. Kind of unique in that there's a lot more movement across the field in this scenario than the previous brigade scenarios. And as long as you remember to shoot at the Imperial Guard and not try and give them the bayonet, you'll do fine. Trying to give them the bayonet is a bad idea. But you have very big battalions, so you have very many more muskets than they do. So in a shootout, a bullet doesn't care how brave you are, so to speak. As you can see, the sky is really darkening at this point. It's really starting to limit our visibility now in terms of what we can see. And the last of the artillery is hitched up and ready to move out. And since there's no more fighting, I can afford to make my boys run a little bit. I'm just trying to get there and get this over with. These French officers will hit the bricks as my units come into range here, otherwise they'll just die. And we'll just set up a kind of line formation, kind of right on the objective here. And we now have possession of the objective. And I'm just deploying them into line, and I'm just wheeling them so they're facing the right direction. So 20 more seconds on this objective, and we will acquire the 1,000 points we need to solidify our major victory here. As you can see, it's really getting dark now, and can only see a couple of 100 yards in front of us. It will get even darker, and you'll only be able to see, a couple of yards in front of you. Well, the French skirmishers have given way. There is not much. That square is really shot up. Still a couple of artillery batteries, artillery guns there, but these French aren't long for the world, so to speak. Ooh, that was nasty. And here come even more units. I mean, how outnumbered can you be at this point? So here we are. We've taken the objective. We got our 1,000 points, so we're now at 1,700 points. So we have our major victory here, and we're basically just going to sit here now, I think, for another... Well, I forget whether the scenario ends at 2030 or 2035. So it's either another 4 minutes or another 9 minutes. But that's pretty much all there is to this scenario. There's a lot more maneuvering in this scenario than anything else. Really, the only time you stop to do any combat is kind of right at the beginning there, and then when you engage the old guard squares, and that's pretty much the only combat in the game. And as long as you just, deploy into line and shoot them to death, it'll be no problem for you. As you can see, half the square is basically shot to pieces at this point. There's not many left of them. They're gonna fall back pretty soon, I think. But it's just amazing how much damage these guard units will take, before they kind of fall apart like this. I mean, look at that. Those are all dead bodies. Died in formation. And they're, just surrounded. I mean, there is no formation at this point. They've, kind of completely dropped any kind of formation. They're just backing up. They're getting ready to run. There they go. Brave lads. I mean, geez, they literally, what did they leave? They left probably 70% of their force on the ground right there. I mean, that's crazy. And as a result, this artillery is pretty much defenseless at this point. And to add insult to injury, we're gonna blast into these guys while they're running. So they're kind of just fleeing in any direction they can at this point. And you can see it's extremely dark at this point. I just hit go to me, which is this button right here. Wherever you are on the field, if you hit this button, it will instantly return you to who you are in the game, the officer that you play. A couple of British units wandering around here, down by La Belle Alliance, and we're just sitting here kind of holding our spot. I mean, we could go back and get involved in the battle if we really wanted to, but, there's, only a few minutes left in the scenario. There's, not much, no reason for us to do that. Might as well just sit here and look pretty in our line formation here. The men had a hard day's fighting. Let them kick back and relax for a few minutes. So yeah, I guess it's 2035 that the scenario kind of winds up. And the last of the French artillery is hitting the road there. Now I do notice this Guard skirmisher unit, what's left of them, they are kind of heading in my direction towards La Belle Alliance, and I am kind of facing the wrong way if they're approaching. So I may take a unit and just kind of spin them around, but I don't think anything ever comes of it. As you can see, there's like no visibility anymore. It's literally like just a few yards in front of you before everything becomes black. And yeah, I'm just spinning these guys around because I don't know where those skirmishers are headed. And just in case they happen to come into firing range here, I want to be able to, give them a good blasting. But as you can see, it's very dark out now. Can't see anything. Kind of all the firing has died down. And they're just standing there. So no big deal. And I can hear some rounds firing, but at this point it is so dark I can't even see anything that's going on. Sort of pitch black out. So I'm moving these guys back. Obviously the skirmishers are not heading for us, so put them back in their original formation. And we're pretty much just waiting for the scenario to wind down here. There's not much more for me to really commentate on. There's nothing happening. The battle's over. Napoleon's on his way back to France. Wellington and Blucher are getting together here at La Belle Alliance to have themselves an after-battle shot of whiskey and some shoulder padding for a job well done. And here's the mini map. You can see only have a few forces down here. Most of the French have scattered. And we're just taking out the last of this, the remnants of the Guard here, a few skirmish units. And they're just getting dropped left and right. There's just not many of them there. Hit the road, fellas. Back to France with you. And we've got about 20 seconds left in the scenario. Back to France with you, little skirmishers. And here we go. This should be it right here. There we go. Got our major victory. And that is the end of the brigade series. So it's now been redone kind of the way I wanted it to be. And we can get back to where we were in the division series. And probably going to take a little break as I've been kind of going at it hard trying to get this brigade series redone. So I may take a couple of days or a week or so before I put up another, before I get back to the division series. I just kind of relax because I've had Scourge of War Waterloo on the brain pretty much, the past week, just doing kind of as much of it as I can. So I'm probably going to take a little, just a couple of days or a week, and then maybe I'll put up another division scenario. I have to go through and see what division scenarios are left in Waterloo and see what order I kind of want to go with them on. Because I think we've done pretty much all the division scenarios now from the expansion. We've done the one from Wavre, the one from Ligny, the two from Quatre Bras. So pretty much all the division scenarios left are in the original Waterloo game, and then I think there's only a few of them left, and then after that we will get into the core scenarios where the real fun starts. So that's it for now, fellas. Take it easy.